Yo, welcome. It is your boy Believe in Steven back with another video with.
Hey guys, name's Sean Cross. What is good? What is good? What is good? I normally say what's good. Say it to my friends, because always we're talking about bad news here, bad news there. Always talking about that. But I like to say what's good. If you can, write it down on the comment below. Tell me one thing good, one thing that's good about your life, or one thing that's happening that's good.
Spread that
Um,
positivity.
yeah, that positivity, man. Even if it's just one thing, man, write it down. Write it down. But again, welcome to No Nose of Society. And today's topic we're talking about is the one of the day-old questions nowadays that's happening, and it's been happening long ago as well. That question of if religion didn't exist, would we have a more technological, advanced civilization? What do you think, Steven?
I think if religion didn't exist, we would be a lot further with technology and things like that. And I think one of the problems is I'm going around like 1000 AD is when the Catholic people or the Catholic religion was just coming up big time, right? And they were just trying to shout out all of these people who were into science and things like that, where they're giving them either life sentences or they're killing them, burning them by the stake, all in the name of God. Which, don't get me wrong, I am a religious person and I do love Christianity and I love people and all of that stuff. But I think the problem with a lot of people in today's world, as well as back then, is they're still closed-minded when it comes to factual stuff and just research that has been done over the years. And some people try to discount any of that stuff, and I don't think that is a good way to look at it. But I do believe that technology would be a lot further just because of how everybody was just really smart back then and had their own ideas. And because we started around the 1800s, 1900s, getting everything that we have now and just building on and building on. A lot of that stuff could have been from back then, but because of everybody shutting each other out, it took longer than expected. And just to prove my point and stuff like that, that's why you have a lot of branches of Christianity, because what some religions, as well as the Catholic in that Christianity standpoint, was trying to block people from understanding and expressing how they feel and stuff. You get all these branched out Christian branches or whatever. Now they're more open to more stuff. They're more trying to understand and learn more stuff, right? So now you're having people coming out and being more able to do more research and not have to worry about certain stuff. And that's why we have the technologies that we have. But I think that a lot of this stuff that we had could have been 500 years ago, could have been longer than that. You know what I'm saying? I just believe that kind of stuff. But what do you think, bro?
Um, the thing is that the way I see it is just that we always try to separate, science with religion. But the thing is that most scientific, advances nowadays, technological advances, well, not nowadays, I'm talking about, way, way back, they were connected with religion. If we're gonna talk about way, way back, one of my favorite quotes, is those who don't study history are doomed to repeat it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, if we go really, really back, we're talking about Egyptians. The pyramids, they were built due to a religion movement. One of the greatest, what's it called? What's that called?
Even though some
The
people
Seven
say
Wonders.
it's aliens.
Yeah, that's another thing. But the Seven Wonders of civilization, Seven
Seven
Wonders
Wonders
of
of
the
the World.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got the pyramids, and they were actually built, one of them were built, for like a burial for these pharaohs. And these pharaohs, they called, they were considered a god. And if we continue on throughout civilization, you got the Egyptians, then after that you got the Babylonians, and then
Mm-hmm.
after the Babylonians you got the Assyrians, and then the Assyrians you got the Persians, and then from the Persians you got the Greeks, and then the Greeks from the Romans. But each one of them, each of every civilization, they had their own gods, even if they were real, fake, whatever. Most of the technological advancements was a spark, the motivation to actually get there, to actually create. that magnificent, technological advancement was because of religion. For example, the Pantheon, well, it's actually a temple. It's actually a temple to one of the gods. And it's one of the greatest constructions of Greek times, one of the greatest constructions that architects still to this day learn it throughout history, because it was a temple for one of the gods, but still it was a spark of religion. Most things, we try to separate science with the religion, but the thing is that most of the scientific advancements, most of the that push to actually create something was due to religion. And not only that, due to religion as well, many historical things were written down. That's why every single civilization that became great, how the Babylonians took over Egypt, or how the Assyrians took over the Babylonians, how the Persians took over the Assyrians, and then how the Greeks took over they took over what did I just say? The Persians. Each one of them took that historical facts, that scripture, that written facts, that mathematical stuff, the technological stuff. Each one of them, they took over it.
Yeah,
The
but
reason why
that's good. But what about during the newer time, like after 1000 AD, when they were starting to
the
push
Dark
that?
Ages,
Yes. What
the
happened to
Dark
those
Ages.
times?
What happened with the Dark Ages is just it's the fall of Rome. We can pinpoint that most of the greatest downfalls is when humans, when us guys, us people, we start to create our own selves as gods. And because when we create ourselves as our own gods, we start to think that we're better than everybody else. We start to think superior to everything else. Most of the fall of Rome, if you see it, before before the greatest fall of Rome, most people consider them gods. There was this one emperor, I forgot what his name was. He ate lead. He ate lead because he thought that it made the food taste better. There was another event also in the time of Rome where one of the emperors burned down the city and he played an instrument. I think it was the harp while it was falling down because he thought that he was so grand and so big. He was such a god that things were if things were burnt down was it's because it was his will. When we start to consider ourselves as mortals, because we know every single person here is mortal. When we start to consider ourselves as God, something that is never changing, that is our greatest downfall. The thing is, the reason why most of these scientific, advancements exist is because the reason is because there is always a constant. For example, the Egyptian, they considered Ra, the sun, as the greatest god, the constant that never changes, that it'll always be there in their mortal life and in the afterlife. The Greeks had the gods, had many gods, but they also create Zeus as the greatest one of them all. That they would never falter. That he was always going to be there during mortal life or even afterlife. That's why those scientific motivations always pushed us forward. But the moment where we start to think more secular, instead of a combination of the motivation religiously, we start to create ourselves as gods. We create ourselves as more than just our mortal beings. And that becomes a problem. That's when the biggest downfall of mankind can happen. That's why these greatest civilizations, they create themselves so big, and these mortals, us people as mortals, when we try to create ourselves as gods, it's the greatest downfall because they always try to find a constant. Gods are always constant, but when we consider ourselves as gods, we're always changing. I'm not the same person who I was, if I was a 25-year-old and then I became an 85-year-old. I'm not the same person. I know I'm not going to be the same person. I change. There are different things that change. But because we forget that constant in our life and we consider ourselves as gods, that's the biggest downfall that we can ever have. That's why Rome, one of the greatest, you know, civilization that ever existed, had the biggest downfall because they thought themselves so grand that they didn't even need gods. They just declared themselves gods. That's why the fall of Rome happened. The fall of Rome.
Yeah. I just believe that, during the dark ages and things like that,
And
there was a lot of people that really could have pushed the advancement of society that were put to
and
death and
that's
stuff like that just because
mhm,
of people's own agendas using religion.
that's a that's the problem. That's another problem because they use in the name of religion, the Dark Ages, they were fighting. There were different churches of
Hmm.
Catholic. They were declaring, well, I'm the real Pope, or oh no, I'm the real Pope. And they use political advancements to destroy scientific movement.
Hmm.
That's why the Dark Ages happened. That's why the bubonic plague happened. They could have stopped that a lot faster. The Greeks had a sewer system. The Romans had a sewer system where things can be cleansed. And then all of a sudden, due to the fall of Rome, you had the bubonic plague, one of the grossest plagues of all time, where they had to burn people. Even they were still alive, they had to burn them. One of the greatest destructions of mankind, burning people a day after day after day because they couldn't clean themselves. Why? Because of political advancement, because they used the name of religion to complete their agenda. And
Hmm.
that's what stops the scientific movement. That's why you have these witch trials. That's why you have these burnings. That's why you have these burnings of the state.
Hmm.
Why? Because they want to move that political agenda. They want to move that agenda. And because if the science doesn't work in favor of them, they're gonna
It's
attack it.
yeah, it's
They're gonna
automatic
attack it.
witchcraft. It's the devil's work. It's all of that stuff.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
know,
They're gonna destroy it, they're gonna attack it, and that's the greatest downfall that you can ever have.
anytime you can challenge one of those people, it's a problem because they're the top authority in their book or whatever, and they have to show that, they have to demonstrate that to the people, because at the end of the day it's a power thing, and they want that power. They want those people to continue being sheep and keep following them and all of that stuff, and it becomes a problem, like Sean's saying.
That's the thing. It always becomes a problem when people have an agenda, and you can see it directly the agenda. If you
Even
open
in
your
the
eyes,
modern
even
world too, you see a lot of
exactly,
people have a certain agenda when it comes to certain
exactly,
stuff in the name of religion, and I see that. I'm so sad, and I try to tell people about that, and people don't even want to listen. They
exactly.
just continue to be sheep instead of being a leader and understanding and reading and building their, you know what I'm saying? I don't.
Exactly. I think around 2012, 2013, there was this huge topic about if cloning is ethical or not. And then they used the name of religion saying, oh, it's because we're playing God. No, no, we're not playing God. If we can clone, if we have that scientific movement, we're not saying that we're better than God. We're not saying that we're playing God. No, we got that scientific movement and we can use it for the
Mhm.
betterment of humans,
And
for the
at the end
betterment
of the day,
of the
how do you
people.
know God didn't give you that knowledge to be able to produce such things like that?
Exactly.
You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? But in the name of
Exactly.
God, all of that stuff is bad.
Exactly.
It's the same thing
That's
that people say about, religion is, or not religion, evolution's not a thing or whatever. Same kind of
exactly.
people. You know what I'm saying? So I just want people to widen their mind. Don't be
hmm
so.
And the thing is, the theory of evolution, it actually creates a stepping stone to actually make themselves into gods because it's the creation of who is better than who, due to environment, due to this, due to that, who is going to win, who's going to win over them, and it's always a competition in evolution, saying that we have to become better than the ones before, or else they'll be the ones that kill us. They'll be the ones who destroyed the civilization because they create a process of who's better than who's going to survive better, and the ones who don't survive, well, sucks to be them. They're just going to die off
Yeah.
because at the end, there you're making yourself into a god. There you're making yourself, well, I'm better than this person. That's why they should die. That's why they shouldn't survive. Like
Mm.
the Romans, exactly. That emperor, he saw a whole village, a whole town burn. What did he do? He just played a harp because he thought it was his will. He thought that, he was such a god and these people deserve to die.
And even people in their circle that are just complete yes men, telling them these kinds of things and saying that this stuff is okay. It's ridiculous. But
Exactly.
that is the time for today. I hope you guys love the topic. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and the bell so you're notified when I'm dropping or when we're dropping more videos. Sorry, I have another channel, so I I already have a set thing to say. So yeah, I hope you guys
Yeah.
really enjoyed this topic. But if you wanna do a closing statement, by all means, bro.
Go ahead. Also, if you got any good topics to talk about, send it in the in the
Drop it in the
comments below.
comments. Yeah.
Just comments below, man. We love to talk. We love to talk about different types of stuff. And as usual, we got it's no nose of society. Things in society people don't want to talk about. We'll do our best to talk about it and give our own opinion.
Yeah, just a bunch of college men here, so it is what it is, guys.
Exactly.
Like I
It
said,
is.
put it in the comments below because we would love to talk about your guys' situation or any topics of society. So without further ado, thank you guys for coming by, and this is it, man. Peace.
Yep. Peace.